Oh, hey, what's up? Hold on. I don't like the way this color looks. That's better. I'm doing this Q&A and I'm seeing a lot of the...
The fuck is that? Shit!
So I had to reshoot that entire sequence, that entire video, because I didn't realize the entire time I had crap on my face. Side note, it's always a good thing to do before you start shooting to check your face before. Alright, we're good. What I wanted to talk about was, I'm getting a lot of questions that kind of line up with the same answer, right? So people are asking how I was able to overcome some of my setbacks, like some of the drawbacks of just some of the hiccups of losing motivation, mild anxiety, things along that nature. And I realized as I was answering that one question, it was becoming entirely too long. And instead of making several different part ones, part twos to all these questions, I decided to make just a standalone video to answer one of the things that happened to me through one of the most incredible people that I've ever had the chance to meet.
For a lot of people, you sort of embody the idea of hardening your mind. How'd you become that guy?
You know what? I grew up not that guy.
Yeah.
So a lot of people put a title on me. They want to, they see me now. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off, who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, who can run 205 miles in 39 hours, who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point. And what got me to this point was I was just the opposite of what I am today. I was that guy who ran away from absolutely everything that got in front of me. But not many people knew that. I had two people. Like the real me was like this very scared, insecure, stuttering, got beat up by his dad, all this kind of stuff. And then I built this fake person that walked around like my shit didn't stink, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I did it.
So what was the process? Like, how did you step forth?
Well, it's a long process.
Right.
My dad beat the shit out of me when I was growing up. I was the first black baby born in this hospital called Miller Fillmore in Buffalo, New York. My dad owned skating rinks, he owned bars, he ran prostitutes from Canada to Buffalo, New York. My dad was a big time pimp, big time, anything bad about a person, big time hustler, and beat the shit out of me, the shit out, out of my mom. There was an incident one time when my mom got knocked out on top of the stairs and he drug her down the stairs by her hair. And at 6 years old, I'll never forget this. In my mind, I was always afraid. My whole life I was afraid, but I had this fucking voice, this conscience that would always be battling me, saying, hey, you gotta get up and do something. I didn't want to do shit. I was just afraid, but that voice would force me to get up. And my dad, I tried to beat him up, whatever, at 6, and I get my ass kicked. So this went on for several years. And I have a big time learning disability, because my dad didn't believe in us going to school. So my dad, it was about the business, the skating rink and the bar. So the skating rink opened about 7 o'clock at night, and this is the time I was able to walk. So about 4 or 5.
So I'm gonna tell you the story about how I met the man, the myth, the legend, David, the freak of nature, the man amongst boys, Goggins. And I do have receipts. It all started on a week where I was surfing the web, right? Just checking out different motivational things, trying to bring myself out of this slump. And I came across a video with a guy named Jesse Etzler, and he was on, I think it was Good Morning America, with this Marine that he apparently had lived with him for a while, right? So I'm checking this out, I'm like, okay, what is this? Another video on my feed. I'm just gonna sit here until the ad goes off. We'll see how this goes, and I'll go into the next one until I feel like something connects with it, right? So they're sitting there talking about the whole experience and exchange, and I'm learning that this guy that's sitting beside Jesse Etzler is a beast.
Well, I first saw David at a 100-mile race, and I was doing this part of a relay team with 6 friends, and he was doing it alone. And around mile 70, I saw him. He was about 100 pounds heavier. He broke all the bones in both of his, small bones in both of his feet, and a kidney failure, and finished the race. And I'd never seen anything like this in my life, and I was like, I got to meet this guy and see what makes him tick.
So when I learned that, I was like, okay, I need to listen to what this guy's talking about, because I can obviously learn. That's how we grow. We learn from people that are doing bigger and better than us, right? At least that's how I do. So he actually hired this guy to come live with him for, I think it was a month, and train him. The backstory is insane, and for the sake of this video, I'm gonna try to include snippets to make sure that I illustrate that, but I wanna keep this short and sweet. So I learned that the guy that's sitting beside him is David Goggins. And then from there, I go on an all-out consumption spree, meaning I consume every bit of data, every video, every article that I can find on this guy and his story. I learned about this guy and what he's gone through. He was abused. He had self-esteem issues. He was severely overweight. He had a hole in his heart. He was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia. The guy has gone through so much. And not to mention, he was born and raised in one of the most racist parts of the country. Every day he said he'd go to school and he'd get called a nigger. He'd get threatened. He had people write on his car, "We're gonna kill you, nigger." They write in this book, "We're gonna kill you, nigger." So every other day he was getting put down in some kind of way. You can imagine what that does to a person's psyche and self-confidence, right? Most people would fold, but he didn't. In a moment of just being fed up with the way things were, he decided to change his life. He went on to make accomplishments that I don't even have the time to mention. But the guy's a beast. He lost over 100 pounds in 90 days. He's the only person as of right now to have completed 3 hell weeks in 1 year. He's ran several ultramarathons. He's raised millions for the children of deceased servicemen for their scholarships. Like, the guy he's the ultimate male. That's all I got to say. To me, hey, he's a beast. So, fast forward another week. Well, actually, let's not fast forward. Let's rewind and go back to how this affected me. So I was slowly coming out of my funk and feeling sorry for myself and making excuses about why I was in the predicament I was in. And I was starting to hear David every day in the back of my head telling me, basically, stop being a little bitch, right? So I'm waking up super early, like before the clock. Y'all remember when I was posting all that motivational stuff in the morning? That was literally inspired by what I had just cultivated within myself from David. I wasn't searching for quotes. I wasn't writing quotes down that I got from anywhere. It was just welling up inside of me and just coming out. I was spewing it on Instagram and it was real, right? Well, he had me waking up early. He had me doing stuff I didn't want to do. I was doing more cardio. I was just forcing myself to push myself past my own self-limitations, and I was feeling really good. And I was doing it consistently. Like, I was doing it almost every day. And then now we can fast forward to the week after I discovered this guy and pretty much studied everything about him. I'm on a video shoot. For the past 4 to 5 years, I have been in video production. That was what my business was, primarily freelance. And if you know anything about the video production world, especially when we work with big time clients, you never get done on time. And even with that, you never get done early. But on this specific day, we got done early. And I took that as an opportunity. An opportunity to do what? An opportunity to go get donuts, which is completely out of the way from the exit that I needed to take to go home, which is where I should have been headed. But I went to go get these vegan donuts. Shout out to $5 Donuts in Franklin, Tennessee. In this area, it is an affluent area, very nice homes. These homes are $500,000 on the cheap end and multi-millions on the middle end if you're super rich. And I don't even want to talk about what super rich looks like. But it's a very unlikely neighborhood for me to be in at the time outside of doing video production, right? And as I'm making my way out from the set where we were shooting at, the home we were shooting at, I was noticing a lot of people running. And I was like, it's a weird time of day to be running. It's the middle of the day. You know, mostly people run in the morning or they run when they get off work. They're not really running in the middle of the day. It's February, right? So I see this woman running. She seemed like she could have been a mother, pretty decent shape. I don't think much of it. I keep driving. Then I see 2 other younger, like teenage guys running. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Is cross country happening? And I'm just not aware of it. So is this just a running city? I don't know. But in the distance past them, I see a very statuesque figure running. And he's focused. And he's running towards me. And I'm looking at him and I'm really fixated on his physique. I can tell that he's an endurance runner, but he's jacked. Like, he's got muscles, he's big, he's not super stringy, you know? He looks solid, and he's kind of tall. So I was kind of intrigued. And as our path started to cross, I got just in front of him enough to where I could make out who it was without thinking. David! Hey, this is David Goggins! David! Hey, David Goggins! Like, I knew this man. But you gotta understand, I was so intent on him. Like, I felt like I really did know him. And I wasn't even thinking, I just yelled out his name. And I tell you, before this point, he didn't notice me. He was so focused. He didn't have any earphones in. He didn't have any extra like armbands, sweatbands. He didn't have a shirt. He just had on joggers, shoes, and I think he had a heart monitor on. That was about it. No music. He was focused. Don't know where he was going or what he was focused on, but he was focused. And when I yelled out, he immediately whipped his head over to the left and looked like, who the hell is this? And a part of me just didn't realize what I had just done, so it didn't register that this might really be David. So I keep driving, and I'm stoked. I'm like, yo, if it wasn't David, he wouldn't have turned around. But maybe it was David, or maybe it was David and he just didn't want to stop, or no, he was running, it didn't really matter. Or maybe it wasn't David, and just the fact that I yelled out, he just wanted to know where it came from. So I'm driving, but at this point, I'm overthinking, overanalyzing. I've driven down the road. I've already passed the opportunity. If it was David, I would have never known. So what's the first thing I do? I call my wife. I'm like, yo, you'll never believe who I just saw on the road. She said, who? I said, yo, you know the guy that's got me waking up every morning, making up the bed, cleaning, doing stuff I don't want to do, and pushing past my limits, raising my standards every day? Yeah, you know that guy? I just saw him. David Goggins. And she was like, oh, wow, really? Where? I said, he's out here on the street running. Like, out here where I've been shooting all day. I saw him and I yelled at him, David! Hey, this is David Goggins! David! Hey, David Goggins! And he turned around and looked, and I think it was him. And she said, well, did you talk to him? I was like, no, I didn't. She's like, you should turn around. I was like, you know what, you're right. Click. So I hung up. I turned the car around, and when I turned around, he had already been gone. I didn't see anybody. Of all the people that were running this day, you would have thought there'd been plenty of other people running, but it was like everybody just vanished. He was gone, there were no more runners, the mom was gone, the kids were gone. And I didn't know which direction he went, because he was coming this way, I was going that way, and I had already been at the end of the street. So by this time, once I whipped around, I'm looking on both sides of the street, and I see no signs of him. It's not like he was running in dirt, and I can track his steps, his footsteps. I can't talk. So I slowly start creeping towards the direction I know that he was at least running when I saw him. And I think, man, if I was David Goggins, if I was hardcore, which area would I go? And I got to the end of the street, and it forked off into two different directions, and there was one street that kind of went this way. And so, with no real rhyme or reason, like, honestly, if I went with my first question, what would David do? I probably would have went straight into the rocks. But I decided to turn right, just out of instinct. I don't know, I just felt like maybe I should turn there. And again, I see him running. I see his back, he's ripped. He's still focused, same brisk pace. He's not like slow walking, he ain't coming to play around. So I pull up beside him. Like, listen, hey David, I'm sorry man, but I just need 2 minutes of your time. I just get 2 minutes of your time, that's all I need. I really would like to talk to you, man. Is that okay? He's running. He looks down at me. And with that raspy, you know, crazy intense voice, he says, yeah, just meet me down here at the end of the road, turn right, I'll meet you at the light. He said he was gonna meet me at the light. So I had like 30 seconds to come up with the questions that I wanted to ask him, and I didn't know what to say. So I drove all the way down to the end, I turned right, and I waited for him. And then when he stopped, I kind of felt bad. I was like, man, dang, I don't want to be that guy. So I get down to the end of the street, and I turn, I get out of the car, he runs up to me, and mind you, he's probably about, maybe just an inch shorter than me, if that. He's a pretty big guy, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, man, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm not crazy. I don't fanboy over anybody like this. I just want to know how you got to where you got. Like, how did you do it? How did you tap into that other side of your brain and your mind to really be like superhuman? And he looked at me and he said, well, before he said anything, he kind of laughed. He's like, it was really hard. He's just like, it was really hard. It took a long time. He's like, I had to subject myself to some excruciating things and prove to myself that I wasn't the piece that I thought I'd always been. And he said, I'm just like anybody else. He's like, I know I cuss a lot, but I believe in God. I just believe that God wakes me up every day. He looks me dead in my face and says, all right, mother, you got another day, another opportunity. Now what the f you gonna do with it? Whoa, whoa. Hey, that was pretty crazy to me. I mean, that to hear it come from him after hearing it in bits and pieces elsewhere, it was pretty powerful. And so I basically told him at the time, I was really kind of struggling, man. I wasn't running my business the way that I should have been running it. You know, I didn't really, it was like, I don't know. I had $125 in my bank account at the time. It was bad, right? I wasn't following smart spending business moves. I was taking risks and not taking the right risk. And I told her, I was like, listen, how can I get out of the situation? I only have $125 in my bank account. I'm still positive. I know that I can make things work. I know that I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, but it's starting to F with my mind, da 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 da. I said, is there any advice that you give me? He's like, I've been there. It's part of life. It's part of being a man. It's part of things we experience. You just gotta toughen up, man, and believe and never stop. Don't quit. Keep pushing. And you know, you hear that from people and it sounds very cliche, but from this guy, it was different. It was like, man, he's really just, he's the embodiment of what it means to really do that stuff. So it meant a lot to me. So I knew what I really needed to get the real info out of him is I need to be able to sit down with him at some point, just have a talk. And I didn't want to ask for his number because I knew that would be creepy. So I said, hey, what's the best way to get in contact with you? You know, you got a website, you know, contact form. He was like, I'll tell you what, I give you my personal email. Shoot me an email, and I don't normally do this, but shoot me an email and we'll get together when I get back in town. Whoa. So I'm gonna share with you that email. Share what I said and what he responded with. In my inbox is the actual email that I sent him. I don't wanna show too much, but I'm gonna read it to you real quick, okay? Don't make fun of me, man. I was struggling at this time. Basically, I said, hey David, I met you yesterday in Brentwood and we spoke for what felt like 30 minutes, but was actually more like 3. I still can't process the odds of us crossing paths. But I'll tell you that my YouTube history is filled with just about every interview, race, speech that you have been involved in. Please believe me when I say that you have made a distinct impact on me. Oftentimes we see people that motivate us and they feel real when the connection is made on a specific point or topic, but the effect fades after a few days. Meeting you may have quite literally changed my life. I had no idea you were in town, and when I yelled out your name, I wasn't even 100% sure that it was you. Let me read it from the point of view that I was in when I wrote it, right? I would love to be able to spend a lunch or workout or whatever with you when possible, as I definitely want to have what you have. I've spent years trying to figure out how to become more of a self-motivator. Go after dreams, be fearless. I find that when I do, I tend to shy away from success and feel dejected in the face of failure. You have been described as a man who has learned to be free of limitation, and that is who I know that I can be too with the right guidance. That is powerful. When I look at you and your accomplishments, I see the man that I know that I can and will become. Not because I seek validation from anything external, but because of all of my means of being and feeling invalid have been internal. I have been my biggest critic, even in the face of praise. I would like to move past that. David, I don't want to be a bother or to annoy you, so please understand that I do respect your time. I don't know if you have thought about it, but I really believe that you and your life philosophy needs to be shared as much as possible. I have noticed that you don't have a YouTube channel. Trust me, I've searched all over for days, and I would love to see you start posting so that guys like myself don't waste your time with lengthy emails or lunches. Shouldn't have said haha, it feels so beta, it feels weak. I don't care. Where was I at? Oh, if you're interested, I would love to help or lend my advice. If you're not interested, I understand that too. Mind you, at this time, nobody really knew about David Goggins. He wasn't on Joe Rogan. Nobody really interviewed him at length. I feel like I just came across him. He wasn't just big time. He just blew up. He wasn't on TD Jakes. He wasn't on all these podcasts. He was virtually non-existent online. There wasn't a lot about him out there. Anyway, I didn't send this email to solicit anything from you other than your philosophy and how I can turn my current situation around to the point that I never go back. I want to push my limits. I want to be more. I have a thirst for it, but no one around me understands it as being a necessity in life as I do. It's because of this that I find it difficult to stay diligent. This is why I would benefit from a conversation with you. I hope this email hasn't been too long, and I hope that I don't sound like I'm groveling at you, which I was. Both of those statements are true. The email was too long. As I stated when we spoke, I never get like this. I've been on sets with TV celebrities and personalities, and I don't even bat an eye. Those people are talented, but they aren't the kind of people I resonate with. There's just something inside me that has been begging for an opportunity to see myself as you do. Limitless. Anyway, thank you for taking the time to read this, and thank you for stopping to talk with me. It really and truly has meant more than you know. I know that it wasn't by chance. He responded with, "When I'm back in town, I will email you." He don't sound like that. Sorry, David. Sorry. I'll just read it regular. "When I'm back in town, I'll email you. I see you want more out of your life. I wish more people had your mindset. I'm in New York for several days and will get back to you. In the meantime, stay hard and focus on being yourself. Stay hard and focus on being your best at everything you do. Never, ever let things get you down. Ever. Keep fighting. I will email you when I'm back in Nashville." I said, "Looking forward to it, brother. Thank you again for getting back to me." And he simply said, "Roger that." Now, I didn't hear back from him after that. But, truth be told, I didn't and don't have to. Just the encounter in itself was enough to kick me into gear and help me realize that I can be more and do more. If you haven't checked him out, please check him out. He's got a book coming out soon that I will be recommending. I will be reading it. On this channel, I don't recommend anything that I don't already do myself. I don't believe in myself. This guy's somebody I believe in. I think that you should check him out too if you haven't already. I'll leave some links in the description to some of the stuff that resonated with me. If you guys are interested, I can leave a link to the actual email. Of course, I'll blur out some of the personal information in there. If you just want to read it, it might help you, who knows. But you want to talk about law of attraction. That was law of attraction in action. I'm telling you, there was no reason. I had no clue that he was even remotely close to this side of the South. His story starts in Indiana. He was in Brentwood, and I just so happened to get done early, which never happens. And I was going a different way that I shouldn't even have gone. I actually got lost. Like, how do you explain that? You don't.